Welcome back to the Master Your Money podcast with me, Marini Jackson, your guide to mastering credit, building wealth, and creating financial freedom. Let's get into today's episode. Now, we are in the month of February at the time of this recording. And February is not just a month of love, but it is a time of financial reset because by February, reality has entered the room. Our vision boards from December and January, those are still super cute. Our goals are still written down, but our bank accounts are telling us the truth, it's telling us the real story. And that's not failure on your part, it's simply feedback. So let's break this down. February matters, and this is what I call the financial hangover, and this is a real thing. So after November and December are spending, many people experience this financial hangover effect. And this is essentially where we have that nostalgia and just the generosity, November, December, end of the year, holidays, all of these things. But our credit card bills are higher, the balances are higher, our savings accounts are lower, our savings balances are lower, our January bills, they hit harder than we expected, and by the time the statements come, our motivation has dropped. And holiday spending often runs on emotion, and retailers, they spend millions of dollars crafting and curating these emotional experiences around the holidays. And we tell ourselves when we go into the store or if we're shopping online, oh, it's just for family. Or you may say, you know what? I deserve this. I help everybody out all year long. Or you'll say, you know what? I'll just fix this in January. But January comes, we've had the food, we've had the fun, we've had the time of opening gifts, and now you're trying to diet, you're trying to declutter, you're trying to pray more, work out, and pay off that $2,000 of credit card debt that you swiped in December. And that's overwhelming. That's a lot going on. And February is where clarity replaces the hype. And this is where we stop reacting and we start recalibrating our finances. So at the end of most years, a lot of us will begin to think and reflect on our year, the year that's leaving, and we'll make resolutions. And we say, as I mentioned, I'm going to pray more, I'm going to diet, I'm going to work out, I'm going to pay off debt, I'm going to declutter my house, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And resolutions are, let's face it, emotional, but systems are structural. Having a system in place is key. Your resolution says, I'm going to save $10,000 this year, but a system that you put in place says $385 will automatically move into my savings every payday. The resolution says I'm not using my credit cards anymore, but a system says I've deleted the save cards from all of my online stores and I've set up auto pay for the statement balance for the credit card. So again, your resolutions rely on your motivation, but the systems you put in place rely on design. Motivation is going to fade. Hence, people getting excited, setting those resolutions in January, particularly for going to the gym, but that motivation almost always fades. But what you design will sustain. And I've seen this. I've actually experienced this. The gyms are packed full in January, but they are quiet by March. And that's not because people don't care, it's because they built a goal but did not build a system around that goal. So your February reset is all about asking yourself, what systems support the life I want? And what automation is going to protect me from my impulses? And then also asking, what guardrails do I need to put in place? We don't rise to our goals, we fail to our systems. And that is something that my pastor always says is, we have to have those systems. And I've heard the best acronym about systems, it's saving yourself time, energy, and money. And when you put a system in place, don't you agree that you don't even have to think about it anymore, because you already know you have a system in place, and you're not going to have to worry about it, feel bad about it. You're not expending energy in that particular area. It takes less time, and then also it helps save money along the way as well. So, with this financial hangover, excuse me, it also meets shame. So let's get deep for a moment. Let's go deeper. Shame. Now, one thing the Bible says is there is no condemnation to them who are in Christ Jesus. But let's talk about finances specifically and the shame people feel. It's not debt that's keeping you broke as long as shame does. And I've shared on previous podcasts about my personal shame with my my debt. And debt is just a number. It's something that, yes, you've made those decisions, you've made those purchases, you have that debt. That's a number. But shame is an identity. So debt says, I owe $5,400. But shame says, I'm bad with money. Debt says, here's a payment plan. Shame says, avoid it, ignore it, don't look. And avoidance is expensive. When you avoid things, like I've shared in the past, what I didn't even go to the mailbox. I didn't open the statements. I missed due dates. I didn't check my credit score. I didn't know or try to negotiate rates, and I didn't ask for help. And shame keeps your balances growing in silence. But here's the truth about it all. You made financial decisions with information and the emotional capacity you had at that time. But now you know more, and you can do more and do better. And one thing a lot of older people I know say is, when you know better, you do better. And that's growth, not guilt. So, with your financial reset for February, let me break this down to you. What this looks like, it's not super dramatic. That doesn't mean I'm going to cut up all my credit cards, and no. It's discipline. So this is your reset plan. So grab a pen and paper. What you're going to do is, number one, you're going to face the numbers. You're going to pull all of your balances, pull your credit card statements, open your bank account statements for everything. That means if you have this random, obscure online banking account that you opened years ago, if you have whatever you have in place, no judgment. You're just looking at the data. It's just data. Number two, you're going to calculate the real gap. And what I mean by that is your income minus your expenses. And you're going to ask yourself, you're going to take your income, and then whatever your expenses are, it's either going to be a negative number, meaning that you have a shortage of money, of funds, of finances, or it's going to be a positive number, meaning that you have a surplus. So when you're clear on that, that kills all anxiety. You don't have to keep wondering. Now you know exactly how much money you have as a shortage or how much money you have as a surplus. And then number three, you're going to choose one, just one, listen, one priority. You're not going to do five, because remember I said that some people in January, they're praying more, they're working out, they're trying to save, they're trying to do all these different things and they do none. So just pick one. So do you want to build $1,000 buffer? Meaning, do you want to save $1,000? Do you want to pay off your smallest debt? Do you want to catch up on past due accounts? So choose one thing that you want to focus on, and that focus is going to build momentum. Now, I'm going to give an example of something I did recently. I had one high yield savings account that I wasn't really taking advantage of, or no, I shouldn't say wasn't taking advantage of it, because I did automate my deposits to that account, but that account wasn't really growing because there was a certain dollar amount you had to have. It wasn't one where when I opened the account, I immediately started earning that whatever that interest rate was. So I didn't see much growth in that account. So recently, this is an example of my one priority I recently set, is I opened another high yield savings account. And from day one, no matter what the balance, my opening balance was, I am receiving a certain percentage on the funds that I deposit. And I would say maybe 2 weeks after I opened this account, it wasn't a huge amount of interest that I've accumulated, but it encouraged me because number one, it was a lot more than I ever got at one point with having just a savings account at a traditional bank. But number two, it helped me to see, if I'm getting this amount for this amount of money that's currently in that account, I'm curious. I challenged myself, like, how much can I add to it? And I set my goal for monthly. How much with the next month's deposit can I add? And I set a number. Excuse me. If I add, I'm gonna give an example. If I add $50 to this account every month or every pay period, things of that nature, I wonder how much money I'm going to have come December of this year. So for me, it was just, I just thought about the possibilities. So that's my example. I am focusing on adding additional funds to at least $25 to $50 a month to this specific savings account that I have, to build a buffer, to build it quicker than with me having a savings account and a traditional bank. So what you focus on definitely builds momentum. And let's see, number 4, you're going to install one system. So remember, we have one priority and we're going to set up one system. So an example, again, going back to my example with the new high yield savings account, I have not done this, but I will be doing this week, is setting up the automatic savings transfer. And I highly encourage you to do that if you choose that as a goal. If your goal is savings, make sure you set up an automatic transfer. And that can be whatever day of the week that you want it to be, or day of the month, I should say. Set a calendar. This is another example. You can set a calendar reminder for your money dates, meaning like when you get paid, when your transferring funds to that savings account when you're paying off that one debt that you're looking to pay off. You can also schedule a time weekly to have a 20-minute finance check-in with yourself just to see how you're coming along on your goal. Or for some people, they like having the cash envelope method, and that can be for problem categories. Like if you are having trouble saving, and for some people it may be easier just to pull that money out of the account, put it in an envelope, and that helps them. But having that small system in place is going to compound. And this matters to you long term because if you don't reset in January, this is the time right now where we can catch ourselves. We may have drifted in January, but if we do not have this reset now in February, you're going to drift. And a financial drift looks like using your tax refund to fix old mistakes. So I can say I had fallen into this trap where I would wait until my tax refund came, and bills that needed to be paid off, like credit card bills, or putting money in savings because I wasn't disciplined at that time to save money, I would use the tax refund to try to fix that instead of having a consistent system in place. Financial drift can also be looking or waiting for extra money that never comes. You can repeat the holiday debt cycles or living in quiet money anxiety. And I can say I have done that, where literally I would not be able to sleep or sleep well or wake up in the middle of the night because I was worried about my money, worried about whether or not I had enough money, but also worried about how I was going to pay my bills. But when you reset, you move from reaction to having intention. Also, you trade having shame for strategy. You also build an identity as someone who manages money. I can say for myself, especially with this last one, with having that identity, I definitely had an identity crisis. It was filled with fear and anxiety about money. I felt that I was in a hole I could never get out. I felt that it was hopeless, honestly, and that had I made different career choices that earned a lot more money, then I would have been in a better place. And that's not necessarily a guarantee because money is an amplifier. So, learning the habits and the systems, I can say has been has helped me as well, so that I can make better choices and decisions with my personal finances. And your identity drives your behavior. So if your identity is someone saying, I'm not good with money, that's going to be your behavior. But if your identity is one where I am someone who manages money, I make wise decisions with money, I have savings, I am responsible, that's going to be your identity. But I want to leave you with this. January is about hype, but February is about honesty, and March is about momentum. So if you feel behind, you're not. You're just early in the recalibration process. And this is your permission to reset. Remember, as I said, we're not doing it dramatically, we're being strategic. We're doing this strategically. And let me ask a question as well. Are you chasing a financial resolution, or are you ready to build a system? So again, are you chasing a financial resolution, or are you building a system? So these are your action steps. Make sure you pull your last 30 days of transactions. And I want you to pull out a highlighter. If you have 3 different colors, that's even better. But you're going to highlight your survival spending. Excuse me. Your survival spending, your emotional spending, and your avoidance spending. So survival spending, those are your needs, the things that you actually need, like shelter, water, electricity, food, fuel for your vehicle. Emotional spending, whether you've been bored, you just wanted to feel that taste of that Starbucks mocha, cappuccino, whatever your vice is. Or even if it's like for some people, cigarettes, like feeling or smelling the whatever smell with the cigarettes, whatever that is, that emotional spending is. Or were you avoiding things? Were you just spending because you didn't want to think about something? But highlight those things and look look at those habits that you have, and let this help be a guide for you in your financial reset. So thank you for listening, tuning in to today's podcast. And if today's episode has been helpful for you, be sure to subscribe, like the message, so that you never miss a new lesson on mastering your money. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. So leave a review, leave a comment below, and share this podcast with a friend who's ready to build financial freedom as well. And if you're ready to take the next step, then visit me at virtuefinancialsolutions.org, where you can learn more about my coaching programs, workshops, and resources to help you on your financial journey. And remember, until next time, you don't just manage your money, you master it.